It's Thursday, the 28th of September, 2023. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Jennifer Duke.
Good morning, Michael Thompson.
Jen, 5 stories, 5 minutes. Let's go. Story number 1, inflation is accelerating with its first rise in 4 months. Consumer prices were up 5.2% in the year to August, and this is all ahead of an interest rate decision that is coming up very quickly next Tuesday.
Yeah, it's not particularly welcome news, but it's really important to look below that headline figure. So one of the big drivers, which we've been talking about, was a 9.1% rise in petrol prices, and that hasn't slowed yet in September either. Food costs are pretty mixed. Bread and cereal was up more than 10%, but fruit and veggies were down over 8%. Rents were up 7.8% over the year. Overall inflation was higher, but it was largely as expected by economists.
Now, Jen, your day job is as the economics correspondent for Capital Brief, so I need you to kind of get your crystal ball out, I suppose, and tell me, what does this mean for interest rates?
My graphs.
Yes, your crystal graphs, yes.
Yeah, crystal graphs out. So, yes, interest rates are the big question at the moment. It's probably going to concern mortgage holders a little bit that the Reserve Bank might be looking at another rate rise next Tuesday. That's actually Michelle Bullock's first rate meeting on the job. And the RBA has been watching inflation figures really closely. They want it back within their 2 to 3% target range. But they do tend to look through the noise in the figures, and that includes these temporary pain points like higher fuel prices. So when you take out those figures, inflation's actually starting to slow. If the RBA does consider a hike, the board might choose to wait for more detailed quarterly inflation figures, and they're actually due out in late October. And of course, we have to remember that this is all still below the height of the inflationary peaks, which hit 8.4% for the year to last December.
Okay, on to story number 2 now. Billionaire Bruce Matheson Sr. wants a board reshuffle at Endeavour Group, which owns BWS and, of course, owns Dan Murphy's as well. He's criticised the company's chair and CEO for making what he calls disgraceful decisions that he alleges contributed to the loss of about $4 billion of the company's market capitalisation over the past 12 months.
Matheson's actually the biggest shareholder in Endeavour. He has a 15% stake. He said the leadership had been an absolute disaster and the business wasn't performing despite having 350 pubs and major outlets that are doing well. In particular, he's irritated by the business's decision to adjust its pokie gambling machine hours and implement other changes 10 months ahead of when they would have had to do so under Victoria's reforms. He says this is costing them millions. He wants former Woolworths Chief Financial Officer Bill Wavish, who is also a former chairman of Myer, to be an independent director on the board. Now, former Woolworths CEO Roger Corbett also supports Wavish, who is self-nominated, but Endeavour has recommended shareholders vote against him. But that's with the exception of another Bruce Matheson, his son, who's a director.
Story number 3, consulting firm PwC is overhauling its governance in a bid to meet ASX standards following the release of a major independent report into its tax leak scandal. What did the report find?
So this was an independent report that was led by former Telstra boss Ziggy Switkowski, and the report basically found that money was put above most other things. So independent thought wasn't really encouraged, and PwC's aggressive growth agenda took over at the expense of values and purpose. Switkowski said that there was a whatever-it-takes attitude. He found there was a lack of independence, too few external voices, too much power given to the CEO, ineffective processes, and a disproportionate focus on revenue growth and market leadership. And actually, senators at a parliamentary inquiry into the consulting firm a few days ago actually raised frustrations that they hadn't been given an advance copy of this report.
Story number 4, one of Queensland's first large-scale Tesla battery storage sites has been hit by a major fire that may end up actually burning for days. It's south of Rockhampton and it's causing some investor concerns.
Yeah, the fire has thankfully been contained after the fire services came to the site, but Tesla told the authorities to just let it burn out, which means it could take quite a bit of time, as you said. Thankfully, no one was injured. And this battery is actually called the Big Bessie, and it's one of 40 lithium megapack units supplied by Tesla. It's also on a site that's owned by GenX, which is a renewable energy and storage developer. It's at a $60 million Bouldercombe facility, and it's the second big energy storage system in Queensland and due to be fully up and running in October. Now, the fire actually attracted criticism from National Senator Matt Canavan, who said that the new energy grid is worse than the old one, which then prompted Energy Minister Chris Bowen to hit back in a post on X, saying that the coalition will find any reason to have a go at renewable energy.
Last one, story number 5, a big story to finish on. Amazon is being sued in the US over allegations it is illegally using monopoly power to crush competition, overcharge the public, and hike fees for sellers.
So the Federal Trade Commission, along with 17 states, has launched the action. They're claiming that Amazon has driven up fees to the point that many sellers actually see 50 cents in every dollar of revenue extracted by the retail giant. They're also alleging that Amazon penalizes sellers that aggressively discount their products by leaving them almost invisible in search results and forcing them to pay for advertising. And that's while consumers are shifted towards more expensive products. So it's considered a landmark case in the US, and Amazon has responded pretty angrily to the action. They're saying the FTC is wrong on the facts and the law and has departed from its mission of protecting consumers and competition. Those are some fighting words.
They certainly are. There we go, the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you very much, Jen.
Thanks, Michael.
It is Thursday, the 28th of September, 2023. Remember to hit follow on the podcast, and if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed Business News, wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.